When you enter the realm of soul, you can shift into a new reality. That's the topic of today's Soul Sovereignty and Sexuality podcast with myself, Jessica Falcon, International Soul Embodiment Guide and Divine Feminine Activator. This has been coming up in conversation a lot the past couple of weeks when I've been working with clients one-on-one, and also in the planning of the Divine Feminine Power Initiation, which will begin this fall, that we can't overlook the fact that when we surrender into soul, when we embody our soul, when we tune in and begin to live from the truth of our soul, we shift into a different reality. We get to create reality differently. We become a co-creator rather than a victim to or powerless, because we recognize the divine power within us. As we begin to open to the soul through the heart, through the body, we access an innate wisdom within us and an intelligence that is inaccessible to our conscious thinking mind. The soul is infinite. It exists beyond time and space. And therefore, when we enter the realm of soul and we attune to its truth, its nudges, its intuition, its desires, we get to experience a reality that is beyond our mental comprehension. That the soul will guide us into experiences, into miracles, into magic that we could never consciously even understand, much less create. Because the soul knows more than the mind can ever know. The mind is limited. Our thinking mind, our logical mind is limited to what we can see, what we can touch, what we can quantify, make sense of. The soul doesn't make sense. I've been on a conscious soul path for 16 years now. It doesn't make sense. I'm not going to pretend that anything about the realm of soul makes sense. But the magic, the miracles, the shifts in consciousness, and the internal pleasure, freedom, sovereignty is priceless. And I don't need to quantify it to know it. And that's the soul. The soul is the realm of love. It's the realm of the heart. And what your heart desires is possible for you. But so often we keep ourselves caged in limited thinking. When we're not in the realm of soul, we think we have to figure things out. We believe we have to work hard. Our focus is on doing or achieving, accomplishing. We look at how much money is in the bank and whether or not something is possible based on how much money is in the bank. We look at distances. Oh, that's too far. We tell ourselves what is not possible based on what we can quantify, what the paper shows us. And I'm not saying that we have to completely discount those things. But what I am saying is that the soul is the realm of possibility. The realm of soul is one of energy. I've talked about this before in the podcast. When you enter the realm of energy, you recognize that everything is energy, not just you, everything. The other person, the vibration within all things, even plants, energy. And so instead of trying to make things work in the purely physical realm, you begin to work in the energetic realm when you enter soul. When you truly align to soul, you work in the energetic realm. What does that mean? This is really the key to manifestation and magic. And I don't like to use the term manifestation because it is so widely misunderstood. And personally, I'm not interested in any sort of ego manifestation. I'm only interested in manifesting the truth of my soul. And the way that we do that is by aligning to the deeper soul truth and releasing all that is not that truth, which includes the belief that to get from point A to point B, we have to cross a straight line. The soul can jump timelines, doesn't need the straight line, doesn't need to go from A to B in a straight line. The soul already exists in A and B simultaneously. What we have to do is we have to attune to the frequency of B if we want to go from A to B. What is the frequency of B? Oh, a higher state of love. So we tune to a higher state of love. What is the frequency of B? Say B is your desire. Well, if I want to go to B from A, where I am, then I look at B. I feel into the soul desire to take me there. And then I wonder, how does that feel? What is the frequency? What is the energy of that experience? And I tune to that. And most often we have soul desires that want us to go from A to B, not necessarily just to experience B, but to shift our energetic state into an alignment with what B provides, what we think B provides, but it's actually an internal state we're creating. I'm going to back up for a minute and explain. I didn't used to understand the realm of soul at all. As many of you already know, I was an attorney and criminal prosecutor for 7 years. I worked for the governor's office. I worked on Capitol Hill. I worked for political organizations. I was a women's rights advocate. I worked for corporate law firms, started my own law firm. I very much was focused on the external and achieving and going from point A to point B in a very linear line. In order to get there, I have to do this. In order to experience that, I have to do this. In order to have that, I have to do this. I have to follow the rules. I have to do what society says. I have to meet expectations. I have to be X, Y, Z. And then I can check it off the box and great, I've accomplished that thing, or I have that money, or I have that house, or I have this whatever, right? Ego manifestation. You're unconsciously manifesting what you think you want, what you're told to want, all you know. That's ego manifestation. I'm not saying it's bad or good. It's the reality that we experience, purely 3D reality, until we wake up to soul. And I wasn't fully awoken to soul yet. Even though I knew I had a soul, there's a big difference between knowing you have a soul and living normal life and attuning to the frequency of your soul, embodying your soul, and co-creating your reality. There's a massive difference in which you actually embody the soul's truth and you co-create life based on that truth, which for me meant surrendering. While I was an attorney for about 2 years before I chose to leave the profession, I had a deep soul knowing that it was time to go away for 3 months somewhere. Didn't know where, didn't know why, made no sense at all. And I resisted it because, well, to my mind, that would be irresponsible. To my mind, I didn't think I had enough money. To my mind, how in the world am I supposed to go travel somewhere and not have a plan when all I ever wanted was a plan to know where I was going and why? I needed very exact steps. I needed to know. The ego needs to know. It grasps on. It needs to understand. It needs to make sense of. Again, desire might be normal. Doesn't mean it's our truth. So, because I resisted the soul knowing and the soul calling, and because partly that was also part of the soul path, right? To go into that resistance and start to feel the disconnect widen between what I felt and what I was doing in the world. And my inner world did not match my external world. And what does that create? Despair, distress, confusion, for me, feeling of going crazy. Like I was literally going to have a nervous breakdown because I just couldn't do it anymore. The disconnect was too big to bear. Not because I thought what I was doing was wrong. It just no longer resonated with who I'd become. And I remember the day I surrendered on my living room floor and gave up the resistance to what my soul was asking me to do. And said, okay, I will trust this deep inner soul calling, even though I don't understand anything about it, because that is clearly where my soul is guiding me. And it felt as if I would die if I didn't listen. And I left everything. I got rid of every single possession, got rid of my home, eventually my car. I kept a couple small boxes of a few things in my mom's place in her attic. And I booked a ticket to Europe for 3 months, not knowing where I was going after the first week, which at the time, following my intuition was not my strong suit. It is now. But at the time, I really felt uncomfortable with the idea of not knowing and just trusting myself and my inner compass. But I was willing. I was willing to be uncomfortable. I was willing to be in between the realms of mind, logic, reason, and soul, trust, mystery, unknown. Because I was devoted to the result that I wanted, which is unification with my soul. So the discomfort is normal and expected. And if you're not feeling uncomfortable at any stage of the journey, there's something you're probably not letting go of. Thought, belief, pattern, habit. And I went on the journey, and it was just the beginning of having to let go, let go, let go, let go, even more, even more, even more, even more of everything I thought I was. Everything that made me feel safe, everything that told me I was good, everything that told me I had value, gone, 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 gone. I'll never forget standing at the farmer's market in Paris, unable to figure out what change was what, because it was a completely different currency. Barely able to speak French. I knew just enough to order at a restaurant, ask for directions, and introduce myself. And I couldn't understand what the vendor was saying. And he like lifted up the receipt and pointed to it angrily as I was fumbling for change in my pocket purse. And there was this inner part of me that wanted to scream, "Don't you know who I am? I'm not stupid. I'm an attorney." And it helped me to see how deeply I had depended on an external role to know myself as worthy. Did it matter that I'd been an attorney? Would that be the thing to make me more valuable or less valuable than anyone standing next to me? Is that the thing that's going to justify who I am? But I had let it. I had let that be the thing, and then it went away. It fell away. And when I came back to America almost 3 years later, and I was starting my life over from scratch again, I simply couldn't go back to the way things were, that purely 3D limited reality. I go get the job, I make money. I go home, this is what I do. I get up the next day, push, repeat. I just couldn't. And I have nothing against a regular job, don't get me wrong. It's that I couldn't go back into a reality that my soul was not asking me to go back into. It just wasn't in alignment with me and my evolution at that time. Because my soul is asking me to surrender even more deeply into another way of being. That wasn't trying to cling to a sense of safety externally. And it set me on an 8-year path of finding safety internally. Of trusting the realm of soul, what my soul was asking me to do, feel, and believe, and transform within me, when it made absolutely zero sense based on the external world's expectations and demands and belief systems. And what I continuously discovered is that if we're to embody our soul and reclaim our sovereignty, soul sovereignty, we have to trust our inner world more than we trust anything else. We have to trust our inner soul voice and act on it. We have to attune our frequency to that of love, union, joy, abundance, wealth, to expand our frequency, because this is the frequency of source. So the question then becomes, if you want to shift your reality from one state to another, are you vibrating at the frequency of your divinity? Or are you binding yourself to the limitations of your humanity? This is the only real question to ask yourself. You can do things in the physical world that might look normal. You can go to a quote normal job. You can get up and have quote normal hours. You can eat quote normal food. You can drive a normal car. You can have a normal house. What matters is not those things. What matters is A, your relationship to it, but B, your frequency as you are doing and engaging and living and inhabiting those things. With which eyes do you see the world? Through the eyes of your divinity or the eyes of your humanity? Because in order to embody your divinity, which is to reclaim your sovereignty, you have to bridge that vision and see both simultaneously. So that you no longer see yourself as a limited physical 3D being, limited to a physical 3D reality. You shift into the energetic reality. You shift into the quantum realm. You shift into the frequency of your divinity. You attune to that state. You align every part of you to that state. And then as you do this, as you shift your energetic reality, the field of your own energetic being, because you are an energetic being, you attune to the frequency of your soul, then you get to an experience and reality of miracles. You get to experience magic, which is way beyond manifestation. Because you get to surrender into the interconnected web of all of life, because all of energy is ultimately connected. The DNA in plants is the same DNA in you. The energy in plants is sourced by source, just as you are sourced by source. So for example, you can commune with the plant. I'm looking at my plants over here. You can commune with the plant, feel its energy, take it into your body as an herb or an essence. You could receive that energy into you. You could receive its wisdom, you can receive its medicine, and you can give that back to it through love, through your heart. What is the unifying field? The heart. The heart is what allows you to connect to the energy in another in a way that is unifying, not polarizing. So I want you to feel this energetic transmission of the possibility that is available to you when you stop looking outside for your truth. When you begin to look within for your truth and attune to that truth. Can you even imagine what that would feel like? Or is your grip on reality too strong to even hear these words? Is there resistance? If so, what is the resistance? Go into it. Is there fear? If so, what is the fear? Go into it. Is there doubt? If so, go into it. It's telling you something. It's showing you what you need to see. And then you have a choice, because sovereignty is all about a choice. This isn't about doing something a right way or a wrong way. That's the old paradigm. This is about choosing. What am I aligning to? Which frequency am I aligning to? Which aspect of myself am I aligning to? The old identity or the new identity? Which reality am I choosing to create based on the now moment and my frequency? Breathing down into your womb space, your energetic womb, man or woman. Letting energy drop down into your roots. Breathing into your heart. There's a bit of a light language activation, which are codes, frequencies, sound that bypass the conscious mind and affect your energetic field, only if your soul is open to receive them. Because this realm of soul and the reality that you get to co-create requires that you receive and upgrade your energy into a higher state of vibration and frequency that allows you to see beyond what you have known. It can be unsettling. It was for me in my own journey, because I kept wanting to grip on to a reality that everybody else saw instead of the one my soul was asking me to see. But I guarantee you, and I'm here to support you, if you are ready to release your grip and enter into a new reality in which you co-create based on the expansive state of your own divinity, and no longer bind yourself to the limitations of those who only see their humanity and not the divine within themselves. This is a huge part of the upcoming Divine Feminine Power initiation, because that is all about the realm of soul. Because what is the feminine? The realm of soul, which I'll be talking more about. And there are 2 spots left at the upcoming Unleash Your Inner Magic retreat in Hot Springs, North Carolina, September 13th through 15th. So if you're listening to this before August 13th, which is the last day to register, I invite you to go to the website, thepathtosovereignty.com, and reserve your spot there. You're welcome to send me any questions and comments. And you can also join the wait list at the same website, thepathtosovereignty.com, and you'll receive an extra special discount and be the first to know when the temple doors open. I'm sending you so much love, and I invite you to simply allow this energy to percolate, to vibrate, to let play in your heart, let tickle your imagination, because this is just the introduction. There's so much more, but I want you to feel into the possibility that the soul brings when you no longer limit yourself to what you've known. Jessica Falcon, sending you so much love.